we've talked on the YouTube channel about Rage and this franchise that I personally really enjoy overall. But I've seen in the past, guys, there's a number of ways I believe that Rage could become a better, franchise overall. Different ways that we can have to connect with this franchise moving forward if the developers decide to go ahead in that direction and kind of add more for us to do in Rage 3. And so that's what I want to talk about in this segment of the show is everything that we want out of this game. And obviously it hasn't been announced, confirmed at this point in time. We're hoping and speculating that a Rage 3 will come at some point or another. But when I say we, guys, I mean, let me giving you guys my thoughts and opinions here. I would love to hear yours, though, in the comment section down below about the things that you want to see in Rage 3. So let's get into it. So for us to kind of predict and hope for certain things to change in the future of the Rage franchise, we got to look at like the present and the past of where this franchise has gone. So what we know, guys, most recently in our minds is Rage 2. And right off the bat with this game in particular, the developers were already talking about Rage 3 before Rage 2 had even come out, which was a very kind of a red flag in my personal opinion, that they were already looking forward to the next game before actually really focusing on Rage 2. Now, don't get me wrong, I liked Rage 2 quite a bit. I thought that there were certain things, though, that certainly needed, kind of changed, or things that, kind of needed to be more elaborated on in this project. So with that, the number one thing for me, guys, that I want to see in Rage 3 is a full package. Obviously, this was something that we did not get with Rage 2. And when I talk about a full package, guys, I mean a single player campaign, co-op modes, and multiplayer. I think having a full package brings you back to the game after you're done beating, say, the single player campaign, which is all that Rage 2 had to really, be able to connect with this franchise, or this game in particular, was a single player story. And I'm not saying that the story wasn't good, but what I'm getting at here is after you're done beating the campaign, you ended up, probably maybe playing it one more time over, maybe a couple of times over to look for collectibles and things of that nature. But then most of us are going to just move on to other games if there isn't other things to do in this world, like co-op missions, doing multiplayer from a PvE perspective, like you're playing with your friends, going up against waves and waves of enemies, or just playing PvP against other people, which I believe that Rage is a prime game, a game that definitely could kind of offer PvP modes and even PvE modes at the same time. So I think the big thing for me is having a full package. That's number one. Number two is absolutely, guys, having things to do along the journey is really important when you're talking about a single player campaign. So say they bring a single player campaign to Rage 3, which I think we would all anticipate and expect at this point. But I remember, during Rage 2 and that game in particular, we are, as you're traveling, the wasteland itself, there's not much out there, and not a lot of things to do and such, which I know they were giving us that kind of, that feel, that vibe that this is a wasteland for a reason. But I think having more things to do along the journey, whether you're talking side missions, having like different ways in which you can find different collectibles and Easter eggs and all of those different things, guys, having more things to do along the journey is, in my opinion, a great way to continue connecting and learning more about the game and the franchise that we're in. And so for Rage 3, the open world scenario is great, but I think having it where there's a variety of environments and a variety of different locations and such, sure, having wastelands and all of that is fine, but also having, a variety and then having more things that you can do along the journey. So if you're going to have another single player campaign in Rage 3, and that's all the game's going to encompass is a campaign, I really want there to be a ton of different things to do, but I would prefer a ton of things to do inside of that world, have a great story, and then on top of that, having multiplayer and co-op modes, which leads me to the next thing is, when we look at the Rage franchise at this very moment in time, I feel that not only were there a number of bugs and issues that kind of came up in Rage 2, and it seemed like some of those things were fixed, some of them took a while to get fixed. I just really want there to be this emphasis on, from Avalanche Studios, ID Software, and then of course, Bethesda as the publisher, to really be on those things on a consistent basis, to kind of give us that best kind of scenario and experience that we possibly can get. Overall, I'd love to even have a longer campaign, a longer, like I said, a longer journey that is Rage 3. I think that would be really great as well, learning more and more, like I said, about this franchise, because then you become more invested. Having new characters, new enemies, like we already talked about, new locations, new environments, new weaponry that you can utilize, new vehicles to be able to traverse the world in a number of ways is all very important. Having familiarities, guys, or similarities is really important as well. Things that you look at and you're like, yeah, that's definitely within the Rage universe, but then having those differences is really important as well. And so with Rage 3, I definitely want there to be some similarities, but obviously some differences as well. And I would say I'd like to have more differences than similarities, because if you get more differences, that obviously means that you're probably going to be getting things like co-op, like having multiplayer modes, which are going to bring you back to the experience over and over again. And I talk ad nauseum about that, guys, but there's so many games out there that are AAA games that don't do that, and they expect us as gamers and consumers to pay the $60 price tag for a product that only has a single player campaign. And I'm not saying that Rage 2 is not worth it, but at the end of the day, after you're done beating that story, there's no other way to connect with that game in particular, unless you go on the Reddit, or you're connecting through the community in other ways. But I'm saying from a pure experience, there needs to be more ways to connect with it, in my personal opinion. But with that, guys, those are the things overall for me. One, other thing that I would put into the honorable mentions is having free-to-play elements to Rage 3. So what I'm getting at here is having some modes from a multiplayer perspective that are free to play. And the reason why I say free to play is because you look at all these AAA titles that are out there now, and there's a lot of games out there that are having elements, or they're fully free to play. And so I look at a game like Call of Duty, where you have Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out, and then the Battle Royale version, that being Call of Duty Warzone, was 100% free to play. What it does, guys, is not only does it get more people to play the game and at least try it to see what it's all about, but then some of those people are going to buy the full version because they want to play the campaign. They want to play, co-op modes. They want to play, on the other multiplayer maps and such, and see what else it offers. That's why a full package is so important, in my opinion, especially for a AAA game that is being published by Bethesda, which is one of the biggest, publishers out there. So Rage 3, guys, I would love to see, like I said, have some free-to-play elements to it. I'm not saying the whole game being free, but I'm saying, just for example, if Rage 3 decided to do kind of like a Battle Royale mode, which might be interesting in the Wasteland, or they decided to have some PvP, modes or PvE modes that were free to play, it's at least going to get people to try it, and then that builds the fan base over time. And so that's something that I think is really going to be important moving into this title. But with that being said, this is One Man's Thoughts. I want to hear yours in the comment section down below. What do you guys think, and what would you want to see in Rage 3? Let me know. And for more Rage 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.